Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Okay, so we are looking at leads. A lead is an interesting, unique way to start off your essay and catch your reader's attention. We're going to start off with, we're going to look at 6 different types of leads, and you are going to write examples for each type of lead. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to write this, but let's put this in perspective. You're writing 6 sentences total for this task. And also, we are writing to the prompt that you will be using next week to create your essay. So if you do this now, it's going to make your life a lot easier next week. So you need to complete this task. Okay, so first type of lead. Also, we may be using the word hook as well. Lead and hook are pretty much the same thing. We use them interchangeably sometimes. So the first type of lead is a fact. We want to use a little known or striking fact to catch our reader's attention. You want to surprise and impress your reader with an interesting fact related to your topic, of course. Don't make it totally random. And if it's commonly known or if you make it up, it's not going to be interesting to anybody. So you need to make sure that it's really unique and it's not a basic fact everybody knows. So here's an example. Of about 3 million youth that are injured every year playing sports, only 25% are treated in hospital emergency rooms. So, of about 3 million youth that are injured every year in playing sports, we know that. Most people know. They'd be like, okay, yeah, obviously a ton of kids play sports and a lot of them get injured. That makes perfect sense. Not surprising. But when we add the extra element of 25% are treated in hospital emergency rooms, that's what makes it interesting and a fact that not many people know. Okay, so your turn. You are going to write a fact lead for the following prompt. Explain how overcoming challenges is important. You can research facts about challenges and how people overcome them. Do a little bit of research, get some background knowledge, and then come up with your fact. Do not make up a fact, okay? You have technology. You can use it. Utilize that to come up with a good hook. Okay, your second type of lead is an opinion. So you want to start with a really challenging statement. You want to try to surprise and impress, again, your reader with an opinion that challenges their thinking. You want to have a unique opinion that makes people think instead of one that makes people, or that most people have. Because if they agree with you, they're going to be like, why am I wasting my time reading this? I already know this information. You want something that kind of pushes their boundaries a little bit. So an example, technology has become a hazard and in some cases deadly to the youth in our country. So yeah, most people know technology can be a hazard, but I'm sure there's plenty of people in this country who don't quite agree that it's deadly. And there's a variety of ways it could be deadly, right? Whether it's texting and driving, cyberbullying, whatever the situation. But it's more of an extreme opinion. We didn't leave it basic as technology is dangerous for young kids. We added that potentially deadly statement in there. So your turn. You're going to write an opinion lead for the following prompt. Explain how overcoming challenges is important. And so what is your opinion about overcoming challenges? But don't keep it basic. Don't make it something that most people have. Push the boundaries a little bit. Make it unique and surprising. Challenge your readers' thinking. Make them stop and think, oh, I never really looked at it that way. Okay, that's the goal. Moving on to lead number 3. We're looking at an anecdote. So an anecdote is like an interesting little story, typically about yourself, but you want to demonstrate why the topic matters by writing about an incident you have observed or experienced, okay? So something you saw or witnessed or something you yourself have experienced. You can also create a scene that depicts what you want your reader to picture in their mind. So it gives you a good opportunity to have an interesting little story or something that helps your reader to connect to you and kind of become invested in what you're sharing with them. Here's an example. The crowd grew silent as the athlete lay on the cold tile of the basketball court. The sound of her head hitting the ground still echoing in everyone's memory. They all waited to see if she could get up on her own. Concussions are very common in student athletes and can impact their success in school. So it's a brief story. This person saw a student hit her head on the floor playing basketball, and that is a little anecdote that catches people's attention. So for the same prompt, explain how overcoming challenges is important. You will write an anecdote lead. And this is going to take some thinking, okay? And it's okay if you have to stop for a little bit and think about these. Slow down, let your mind process, and write your lead. Don't rush through this, otherwise you're not going to be helping yourself to grow into a strong writer. Okay, lead number 4 is a quote. Hint, hint, just a little heads up. On STAR, you are always, always, always given a quote to work with. This is a good one to go with. It's always easy, especially when we're doing our STAR writing. You're beginning with a quote that's related to your topic. So make sure it's relevant, and avoid using overused quotes or cliches, okay? Like Thomas the Engine always said he could, so he made it up that hill. I don't even know. No, the little engine that could. That's the example. I don't know, y'all. But don't use cliche and overused examples is the point. Don't do something that we've all been hearing since we were 3. Use something unique. So here's an example. Everyone has heard the old saying, time flies. But I never expected the truth to be so literal. So we've all heard the saying, time flies. But what makes this quote unique is that it says, but I never expected the truth to be so literal. So somebody's thinking, hold on a second. How is time flying literal? So you are going to use a quote for your lead for the prompt to explain how overcoming challenges is important. Moving right along to lead number 5. So we're looking at a question lead. Now, question leads are tricky. Initially, we think like, man, these are easy. Okay, cool, I could totally do this. But more often than not, we tend to write questions that are very boring and don't challenge. Same with the opinion one, okay? So what we want is we want to have a thought-provoking question. Just like we wanted to have an opinion that challenged thinking, we want a question that challenges our reader's thinking. So choose a question that catches the reader's attention. For example, have you ever stayed up all night to study for a test only to sleep through the exam the next morning? That's specific. You could just be like, have you stayed up all night to study for something? That's boring. But the sleeping through the exam the next morning, that's what gives readers who've experienced that, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I've totally been there and it's the worst ever. So another one. So choose a question that you're going to answer in your writing, okay? You will discuss this. Why shouldn't students be allowed to dress however they like during school? So clearly that is going to be an essay that's about dress code. So now you are going to create a thought-provoking question for the prompt. Explain how overcoming challenges is important. Do not say, do you think overcoming challenges is important? Because you're just restating your prompt. That's silliness. That's not thought-provoking. Because, yeah, everybody's going to say, like, yeah, it is important to overcome challenges, and your point is, like, we all know this, we want something interesting and thought-provoking. And your last one, lead number 6, definition. So begin with your own. You don't even need to use a dictionary for this, because sometimes, we all define words and see them and interact with them in different ways. And so we might have a different meaning for what it looks like to do something, right? So while dictionary definitions are okay, most people find them to be kind of dry. They're kind of straightforward and boring. So try to paraphrase or write your own unique take on a definition whenever you can. School is more than just a place for students to learn. For some, it is a second home. For others, it feels like a prison. So if we looked at the definition of school, it would probably say a building in which students are taught. Something boring, right? Like, yeah, we know school is a building. But really, what is school? School is a second home to some kids, and it feels like a prison to others. So we get more into like the emotional level of what school is. So you're going to write a definition for the following prompt. A definition lead. So how would you start off your essay using a definition? And the prompt is, of course, explain how overcoming challenges is important. Okay, so these 6 leads are your task for today. You need to make sure you write each one. That way you have 6 really good options to start your essay next week, and you can pick the best one so you can have the strongest essay. Don't forget to ask us questions if you have any.